So soon I'm about to be going to my senior year of college at NC State. Got a few NC State people. Yeah. I grew up Catholic. I've been in St. Clair County for 21 years. I live like 5 minutes down the road and have for the past. So I've been coming to St. John's since before Rich. I think before everyone else here, besides maybe Jack Dugan, or Nathan maybe. I'm up there, like 3 of us or whatever. Growing up, definitely like Catholic household, but like it wasn't super big. It wasn't like definitely not the center of our family. But I mean, my mom definitely tried to like instill Catholic virtues and whatnot into me and my 3 siblings. But quite frankly, I didn't really care until like late high school. I did youth group with Rich and the person before Rich. Here before Rich, it was kind of a little bit rough. Was not too exciting, but obviously like Rich is making moves as you guys can see. But coming out of middle school, going to high school, I went to Leonardtown High School, so like none of my friends were coming to youth group, so I was not coming to youth group. And I was just kind of going down a bad path, making some poor decisions. Definitely got into a little bit of the party scene, and just like, you know, my main goal was just having fun, right? And like, I didn't really care about school. Like, I didn't get terrible grades, but they were not nearly what I could have been getting. And morally, just again making bad decisions. And then, so it's kind of like 2 storylines going through high school. It kind of like led to me starting to take Catholicism seriously. On the one hand, I was very much into this one girl. She's awesome. She's solid, but we went on a couple dates. Again, I was still pretty into her. And then, as part of me making poor moral decisions, the Leonardtown track team, we would try and like steal apparel from other schools. So you know, just try to get like something with every other school's name on it. And I got caught with another kid like inside of one of the other high schools during our track meet. It was a smack meet in my late junior year of high school. And he brought me back. The wrestling coach like brought me to my coach and was like, "Yo, this kid's stealing sweatshirts and stuff." So I got kicked off the team, and like track was a big thing for me. And the chick I was into was also on the track team. So like, she was like, "Yeah, this is kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. Like, you're basically a terrible person." And I was like, "You're not wrong." And like, she's probably the only person that like could have told me that, and I would actually listened. So that was the one hand, and then on the other hand, when I was like 3 months on my permit, I flipped a car. I was driving down to North Carolina, sleep deprived, as I usually am. It was bad. All 3 of us walked away safe. I had a little tiny cut on my finger, didn't even bleed. My sisters got a little bit more beat up, but like everything was superficial. So like we were all good, but like when we stopped moving, I was driver's side door down. I was underwater. I remember thinking like for a split second, I was like, oh my gosh, like if I like move my head and like I don't get air, like I'm gonna die right here. Luckily the water level was like right here, so I got air. We were good. But as part of the penalty, I was doing everything legal besides maybe a little sleep deprivation, but I was driving the speed limit, whatever. Virginia sucks though, so Virginia penalized me with, or charged me with reckless driving, which is like pretty serious. In order to get off of that, I had to take an extra class, I had to do volunteer hours, and I wasn't allowed to get another accident for the next like 6 months or something like that. So everything's wiped away now. My record is clean, but for volunteer hours, I was like, okay, well, I might as well come back to St. John's Youth Group. And like, Rich has like a younger and an older group, so I went to the older and like helped out the younger as my volunteer hours. And doing that for a couple weeks, Rich finally was like, you might as well like try work at the summer camp, right? That was the summer right after they kicked off the track team and everything. So I was like, I was in a really good place. My friends joked that like I grew up in 2 weeks because like with that getting kicked off the track team and whatnot, like I made the decision like, okay, like it's not about having fun. Like I'm gonna try to like not be a terrible person. So like I was in a really good place going into the summer program. In that first year, like I didn't make too many friends, like didn't know too many people, but like I was absorbing a whole lot just from like adoration, theology, mass, and whatnot, and just being around like holy people. Like you really can't not grow with that. But then Christmas after that first summer, I went on the Italy pilgrimage. I'm going again this Christmas, so you guys should all come. But that was awesome. Like we stayed up to like 3 a.m. every single night with like some really solid conversations and like just like walked the streets of Italy. We didn't sleep at all in the hotels, we only slept on the buses. We saw Padre Pio's incorruptible body. We saw the Miracle of Lanciano, which is the coolest thing in the world. You guys should all look at that. And then just like some of the like most beautiful churches like this world has to offer. So it was phenomenal. And that was really the conversations I had like late night with those folks. Like really is like where it clicked with me, and I was like, all right, you know, like this is what I'm going to be spending my life doing. Catholicism is the real deal. So I feel like I should also talk about college a little bit. We have a college community. It's called Catholic Campus Ministry, CCM, and the four people from NC State are like, we all know each other through CCM. But I don't like, I obviously go to a non-Catholic, it's a public school, so there's definitely like lots of temptation out there. Like there's definitely ample ways for you to not be like doing what you should be doing, and like, you know, it's a huge school, so like there's definitely going to be a little Catholic pocket, but like you're gonna have to look for it as you like go into college and whatnot. Like it's not going to like fall in your lap. Like you need to go to mass and you need to like stay after, and it's gonna be super awkward at first. Like you have coffee right after mass or something like that, and like you're not gonna know anybody, and it's gonna be again super awkward. But like just live through it. Like it's not that big a deal. Like make some friends. Once you like take that first step into the room, like ideally the Catholic community there is like good enough to where they can like bring you the rest of the way in. So like really be active. Don't be passive when you get to college. And on top of that, the CCM crew has been growing a whole lot. When I first got there, like daily mass was like my freshman year, only 2 people went, not including me. Or like I did not go, but 2 people went. And then my sophomore year, I started going, and there was like 4 of us. And like nowadays, it's like 20 something people come. And then there's also like a crew that goes 15 minutes down the road to like another church. Like I have had a hand in like the upbringing, like as well as the rest of the people here. Like, but largely what I do is I just steal ideas from St. John's, because like realistically, like I don't know if you guys recognize this, but St. John's is amazing. Like it is absolutely like rare to have this. Like you go meet people from like all across the country, and like they did not have like the solid like community that we have here. Like I don't know if I can stress this enough. Like this is unique. Like you're not gonna find this anywhere else. Like number one, take advantage of that. Like come to the after parties and stuff. Like that's where you're gonna have those great conversations. Like my first year, again, I didn't know too many people, but like it's because I didn't go to events, and like it almost wasted the summer, you know. So like please come to those. Like it really can like change things for you. And again, like recognize we have something special here. So like please do not waste it. Side note, you guys should all come to Canada and Italy. I think Brittany's gonna go.
Can volunteers go on the pilgrimage, or is that just for staff?
I'm pretty sure.
Are you?
No. Yeah, sorry. Instructors. No other questions?
Yeah, Brittany! Queen. That's my boss.
I wrote notes down because I was told that I was going to talk like an hour ago.
Oh.
But yeah, so first, like I grew up, my family's really great. We're not like super Catholic, like they love me a lot, and I have my little brother works here, and I have an older brother, and yeah, so but we're not like super Catholic, so my dad's not Catholic, my mom is, but we like just go to mass on Sunday. And so I never really understood like the point of it, like, because it didn't, like that 1 hour didn't pertain to the rest of my life. Yeah, so I didn't really care about my faith until like junior, senior year of high school. And I took John Owen's class, and that's when Catholicism really started to make sense to me. Like, it's like logical, and there's like a lot of meaning behind it. And so he convinced me to work here, and I loved it. I just like completely, like, I loved St. John's. I had like never really like had a solid group of friends in high school. I had like 1 or 2 good friends, but not like a solid group. And so to have like everyone here was just really awesome, and I loved going to adoration, and I just like fell in love with everything about it. And that was the summer after my senior year, but I guess, so I'll backtrack a little bit. My senior year of high school, I had committed to play lacrosse at Shenandoah University, and I was like really excited to at first, but then, you know, in John's class more, and then just like going to different, like going to youth group and like things like that more, I got really scared. I was like, well, I know all these people who, you know, say that they're going to be like really great Catholics and not do all these things, but then they go to college and that changes, and they don't really have like a Catholic support system there, and it really scared me a lot. And I was like, Mom, I want to go to Christendom, because I was like, I know they have enough rules there to where I won't mess up. And so it was like totally out of fear, but I was like, I want to go to Christendom. And so I kept saying that to my parents, and I like changed my group of friends and like all these things, and my parents didn't like it. They just like didn't understand where I was coming from. That was also my first year with a car, so I was also like out of the house a lot more, and they were just like not happy about any of it. So that was like a big thing, and they like wrote me this letter, and it basically was like, they were like, we don't like the choices you're making, we don't know why you're making any of these choices, and it was like huge. It was like 3 pages, and that like, I remember reading that and being like, my parents like, they think they don't know who I am anymore, but like, I'm the same person. And it was really, really hard to read that, and it took like a while for my parents to realize like how much they hurt me by that, and it took me a long time to realize that they just wanted what was best for me too. Like, they didn't write that because they wanted to like hurt me. They wrote it because they were like genuinely concerned about me. And yeah, so that was hard, but my mom convinced me to go to Shenandoah anyway, because she's like, you love lacrosse, I don't want you to have to give that up. And so I did. And that was like, I think that I needed that year. Like, God definitely put that year in my life just to like show me just like how much people like need God, because the only close friends I ever had were like in high school, who my friends like never really got into any trouble in high school. We never like did like reckless things really. And then like at St. John's, and then like I go to college where there's no one like supervising you, no one's telling you what to do or what not to do, and I really got to see like how much people need God even if they don't know it. A lot of my friends were like going through really hard things, or would just let people treat them really badly, and I kept telling them like, no, like you're worth more than this, like, but they didn't get that, because they didn't have this relationship with God, and that was really hard for me. But it was also good because I was able to show them like, you matter. Like, even if like the world's telling you that all this stuff is fine, like, you know it's hurting you. And like some of them it was more obvious than others, but so yeah, that was like a big thing. And then I got the year after Shenandoah, I got back and I worked here again, and I remember having this conversation with a couple of my friends from home, and it was just like, oh, like this is what I did my freshman year, like this is like what I did with these guys, or like I went to this party and did this, and it was really like degrading and like not a good conversation. Like they all thought it was like funny, and I was like, just like, okay, this is kind of pointless. And I realized that all my friendships at school, like all our conversations were like that, and it really, I was just like not happy with it. I was like, I want better conversations with this. I just wasn't satisfied with that. And so I transferred to a Franciscan, and at first, when I decided to transfer, I didn't even know they had a lacrosse team, and that's like was a big thing for me. I have always played sports, and I love lacrosse, like a lot, and so that was like a huge thing. Is am I still going to be able to play lacrosse? And I didn't know if they had a team, but they did, and that was really like transferring to Franciscan was. It was hard, but it was really good, and one of the ways I think that it was best for me was it taught me how to play for God and not for me. Like, because my team's always like, you play for God's glory, and I never really got that, but, like, do everything you do for Him. And then I went to Franciscan, which, if you don't know, it's in Ohio, and that's not the biggest lacrosse state. And so, like, lacrosse there is just not as advanced, and no one really cares. Like, Franciscan's not a big sports school. We have like a good number of athletes and we support each other, but it's not like I went from Shenandoah to Franciscan, and Shenandoah is a big sports school. Everybody there plays sports, and everyone cares about sports, but nobody cares about sports at Franciscan. So it was really hard for me going to Franciscan and no one caring that I played lacrosse, and no one understanding like what it's like to be on a team and like have that like sisterhood of teammates and like fight for something and be good at it too. Like no one cares if you're good at sports, and that was really, really hard for me. But it taught me how to play for God. And it was something that I wouldn't have done. I wouldn't have really appreciated or like understood if I hadn't gone to Franciscan, because I was forced to at Franciscan because no one really cares about lacrosse there, except for the athletes. So that was like really good for me, and really cool. And then, and I was also just surrounded by really great people. Some of you know Caitlin Dugan. She was always one of my really good friends, but we like became best friends because she transferred there a semester before me, and so it was really nice to just like have her and like have somebody at home that I already knew when I went to Franciscan. So that was like really nice to just have her and like have that friendship. And so at the end of sophomore year, I started to get really depressed, and I didn't really know why, but it like just affected every part of my life. I never really understood when people, like my friends, had like talked about like depression or anything before like that. And I recently learned my family has a history of depression, but I started to get really depressed at the end of my sophomore year, and it went into the summer. And that summer, like my friends went through a lot of their own things with their families and stuff, and I felt like I couldn't tell anyone that I was depressed. So I just kept it to myself. And I didn't tell anyone, like no one knew at all. And it was really hard because I would come to work at St. John's and like try to act fine, but then I would like go home and like just be by myself and like cry. I couldn't like really do anything else. And it was really hard for me to like understand why God had like let that happen to me. And so that summer I just like kind of kept it to myself a lot. That like made it a lot worse. If you ever suffer with anything, I think that you should tell someone about it, someone you trust and someone who cares about you, because just keeping it to yourself like isolates you even more. But I was really depressed. And then that fall I went to Austria I studied abroad in Austria. Franciscan has like a really great study abroad program, and when I went, I was like, yeah, this is gonna be great. I'm gonna escape all my problems. Like, go me, I get to go to Europe for 4 months, like this will be awesome. And that worked for like maybe a week, and then I was just as depressed as before. And then my friends were like, Brittany, what's wrong? Like, you're acting different, what's wrong? And I was like, no, I'm fine. But I like could not hide it from them. They knew something was up. And that I just felt like empty and like sad like all the time, and it was just like really hard. And I didn't want to be around people, but I also wanted to be around people. Like, it was like this weird, just wanted to be alone, but was like afraid to be alone like the whole time. And one of my friends was like, if you're gonna be alone all the time, like go to the chapel. Like, there's a chapel right here, just go. And so I did that a lot of the times, and I think that helped a lot. With just like going and sitting in the chapel, because like you're in God's presence, you know, He's gonna give you grace even if you're only sitting there. But that was really, it was really hard, and I ended up dealing with it in a lot of really different ways that were not always the healthiest. We were in Europe, so it's way easier to get alcohol there. I started drinking a lot, to the point where my friends were like telling me not to. They were like, okay, if we're gonna go out, like, you're only gonna have like this many drinks, because they knew that I would just get blasted like every single time, because I just was like upset. And I was like, well, like, I don't know. It was like, because I didn't feel like that. I didn't feel like God wasn't in my life. Like, He definitely was. And I would pray and do all the things that I was supposed to do, but I was also like going out and like getting drunk all the time. And my friends would like try to stop me, but they really couldn't. And they ended up like talking to me about it. Like, one of my friends one day was like, this is a problem. And my family has like a lot of alcohol abuse in our history, and I knew that, but I never really took it seriously, ever. And then I was like mad at myself, because I was like, even when you were at Shenandoah and all these people around you were like drinking and doing this stuff, you didn't, but now like you're doing it. And I just felt like I was a bad person for all of this. And I was just like really stuck, and I wasn't really, you know, I like kind of opened up to some of my friends, but not really. And I was also in Europe, so I was like so far away from my family. And that was like really hard for me, of just like not knowing what to do. And then yeah, so another way I dealt really badly with all of that was I just like stopped eating. And if any of you guys struggle with any of the things that I'm talking about, like, I'll give you my phone number again, like, you can call me, text me, whatever. But like, please, like, if you need help with anything, like, let me know. But so I just like stopped eating, like, and I never like had an eating disorder or anything, but I definitely had a problem with food. Like, I remember one time I didn't eat for like 2 days, and then my friends went out to breakfast, and I wasn't gonna get anything, and one of my friends was like, what do you, like, you need to eat something. And it's also really, really easy to not eat and have no one know, because half of the week you're gone, like, you're like traveling somewhere. So we only have class 4 days a week, so the other 3 days we would go traveling places. We'd like go to another country every weekend, and everyone wanted to be like as cheap as possible, because we're college students, we don't have any money. So like no one was like, it was really, really easy to get away with not eating. And then the 3 or 4 days you were at school, our CAF, like, people didn't like it at all, so they would try to find ways to like not eat there. So people would like go to the grocery store and get food, or they would like go get a kebab or something. Like, it was really, really easy to not eat and have no one know. But like one time I just like hadn't eaten for a while, and we went to breakfast, and my friend was like, you're gonna eat something, and she like made me get a muffin, and I was like almost in tears, because I just like could not do it. And it was just because it was like one more thing that I could control. Like, I felt like my life was just like like scrambling everywhere, and like I had absolutely no control over anything, and it was just like one thing that I could control, and like one thing that I could be like, no, like you're not doing this, and where everything else I just like couldn't control at all. And that was like something I told one of my friends one time that I like struggled with that, and she like really helped me a lot. She would just, whenever we went anywhere and we're eating something, like she wouldn't like yell at me or something and be like, no, like you have to eat this, but she'd be like, okay, like eat a little bit, like that's it, you just eat a little bit and you're done. And I'd be like, okay, and so I would, and she like really helped me a lot. And I think the whole time I was in Austria, my friends just helped me enormously by just knowing that I had like stuff going on that I couldn't control, and just like helping me in any way they could. Yeah, and just like treating me like myself when I didn't really feel like myself. And so I like didn't really tell my parents about any of this. They would call and I would talk to them and be like, oh yeah, like I went on this great trip to like Poland or wherever I was going. Like I was like, it was really awesome, but I never really told them any of the negative things that were happening either. And when I got home, I didn't really tell them either. I tried to like hide it from them. And that was like, it was, I don't know why I did that, but I just felt like that I couldn't tell them, like they're my parents, they're gonna care too much, like they're gonna be upset that I'm upset, and it's just gonna create a lot of problems. And so then I went into spring semester, and I was just as depressed, but my friends knew about it, which was like really helpful. And I also had a more consistent schedule. I was back in the United States, I had lacrosse again, which really helped because it was something that I loved to do, and even if I didn't love to do it anymore, I knew, like even if I didn't enjoy it anymore, I knew I still loved the sport. And it got me out of bed every day, it got me doing something, and my coach would check in on me like a lot. But it was like really hard, and I remember like being really mad at God because I was like, okay, this has gone on for too long, like I went to Europe and back and I still feel like this, why do I feel like this? And I was just really mad, and I remember talking to my spiritual director one time, and she was like, you can yell at God. So like if you're ever mad at God, like he can take your anger, you can yell at him all you want, like he's huge and you're tiny, like you can yell at him, he won't be offended, like so that's what I did. I like yelled at him, I got it all out of my chest. I was like, what the heck, like why, and why is this still going on? Why do I still feel like this? And I was just like constantly, I was so mad, but it was like better to yell at him than not talk to him, and I like it really helped. And like he gave me like a lot of grace in suffering. There are like all the quotes on the gym out there about like suffering and things like that. And some of my really good friends have gone through a lot of stuff in the past year, and it's been really, I understand their suffering more because of my suffering, because of like what I've gone through. I understand what it's like to have, hurts that no one can really heal except for God, and to understand that he's like the only one that can heal the deepest wounds in our heart. Yeah, and so that, I don't know, the last year was just kind of crazy, but like, thank God for my friends because they really helped me out a lot. Like, I don't know what would have happened if they weren't there. And like, just that he can like give grace in like every single thing that happens. Someone told me once that God like redeems everything he touches. Like everything that God does, he redeems. Like poverty, like there are people who become nuns and brothers and things to be poor for the rest of their lives because it's good, whereas the only reason it's good is because God did it. And that's just like suffering, like he redeemed suffering when he died for us on the cross. And so, yeah, if you ever are suffering with anything, like, and you need someone to talk to, I'm here. And just know that like God is always with you, always, and that he loves you. That's all.